I'm excited to be speaking with Wam today about her role in Canon. Large manufacturers like Canon have a small army of people dealing with regulatory and customer requirements. And I hope that sharing her insight and experience will help you understand more about why this is the case and get you thinking about how to ensure that your company is making the right decision about the importance of a forward-thinking approach to environmental compliance. So tell me a little bit about your background and what your role is for Canon. You're a toxicologist, but you're focused on environmental regulations that impact Canon products. Is that for the whole product line or just inks and toners?
So yes, I'm a toxicologist graduate. I have a master in toxicology. I worked in various areas related to chemical before. I was there at the birth of REACH. So I've learned a lot and I kind of developed with the REACH. So I used to do tox work in my previous roles. But for Canon specifically, I'm the senior regulatory affair for our entire operation for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So that experience gave me the understanding about chemical nature. What does the studies mean? Because a lot of the time when we see stuff being pumped out of the eco side of things, they have scientific report, they have scientific analysis. So that also helped me to understand what's happening and sort of break down the chemistry jargon and talk to several team members, whether I'm talking to logistic, I'm talking to the R&D team, I'm talking to our marketing. So it kind of puts you in a position to understand the science, break it down depending on which audience that I'm actually working with.
Yeah, and that's one of the big challenges that I see is translating that into something that people without a chemistry and toxicology background can understand. What do you find is the biggest challenge in trying to explain to that type of person why a particular chemical is proposed for restriction?
The challenge usually comes with how quickly you got an alternative and how quickly you can turn it around in your manufacturing. So as Canon, we're quite global. We have a complicated process and production line. So changing one thing will have a domino effect. So you will need to talk to the R&D guys, but at the same time, you need to explain it in layman terms to the logistic guys, what's feasible and what's not feasible. So for us is, yes, definitely 100%, we need to comply, but what is the alternative? And is the alternative as good in terms of the quality and the safety? So are we replacing with something safe and will give us the good quality, or are we replacing it with something that's going to cause more issues and difficulties down the line? And that's one thing actually I work with the several team to get their perspective. And we do a lot of industry associations. So we are members with many of the prestigious known industry association in Europe. And we tend to advocate and work with the legislators to actually educate them, because sometimes there's the socioeconomic as well. So you need that balance. We're all up for sustainability and definitely we're in a great time to shape it positively, but taking the correct steps so we don't have to go back and redo it again.
So I do want to talk a bit more about your role in lobbying and advocacy, because I think that's a very important area. So what's your approach in lobbying and advocacy, and how do you go about making sure that your comment is one that they will take seriously and truly consider?
When you work through industry association, it's absolutely crucial that you have credible evidence to really back up your discussion and your argument. You can't just say, you know what, too hard, I can't do it. you need to work collectively as an industry. And that's one thing in Canon we do with competitors and other like-minded through the various industry association. We collectively put evidence to support when an alternative is not possible, why it's not possible. And then we look at all the different aspects of why we give in that argument. So we got the solid proof evidence to support it. So if you engage with any authorities or lobbying, whether individually or through an industry association, it's all about your evidence. You need to come with a credible evidence and also understand what is the legislator trying to do. So put yourself in their shoes. What would you like to see to change the way you're going about it, or how would you look for alternative to bring on that legislation or to work toward enforcing it? So it's all about the credible evidence to bring it forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Data is the key here. It's all about good data.
How do you bridge the gulf with this enormously powerful and intelligent set of entities that has a lot of chemical and tox knowledge with the actual needs of the manufacturers they're trying to regulate? How do you speak with them and educate them and listen to them about this gulf?
I mean, this is a very good point where you mentioned that we've missed the boat on this one because the legislators are actually on the driving seat and we're trying to play catch up with them. The crucial point to actually bringing that together is how you are functioning and working internally. So I know chemistry, I know toxicology, but I haven't designed the product. Or I don't know exactly sometimes the inner detail of how that product really works and the mechanic of it. And this is where it's important for me internally. I talk with the relevant department to get that understanding. So once I get that understanding, I can take the discussion forward. So if we're talking about a particular ink or a particular chemical, you can actually argue back and say, in its intended use, in the mechanism is being delivered, certain risk and hazard they are worried about will be quite negligible because you can actually have that direct scientific conversation with them. So for me in Canon, that's how we do it. I talk internally to the right people to get the understanding and then picturing and piecing. It's like a puzzle. I always see it like a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm going from bit to bit, always starting on the corner because it makes it easier, and then sort of coming through to get to the middle, and also talking to colleagues like-minded that I work with in industry association, because when we collectively together, it's actually a stronger voice than us going separately. So we'll always make sure to get involved when there's a consultation. Fantastic time. Consultation actually is the door to get in there from the beginning. Once it becomes a proposal, you kind of miss the boat a little bit.
Looking into the future, seeing what you think, where all this is heading.
I work very closely with our sustainability director and our vice president as well, who heads the corporate communication, because we are actually under the corporate communication banner or umbrella. And we tend to I actually have with my VP, I have a monthly call with her just to give her the highlights, strategic direction. We also have strategic meeting where you tell and explain what are the trends, where are heading. So our innovation and development team are aware of the trend. And I do have direct communication as well with them, where we share the trend. So for example, if we're talking about the new eco-design frame directive, what's happening in the trend, durability, repairability. I mean, it's a long list, as long as my arm, that we need to be ready for. So These are the conversations we are having now. So when they're developing new product, that is in mind. Although the legal text is not confirmed yet, 100%, but we know the concept. We know which direction they are heading. So when we get there, maybe a few tweaks, but we call it always like planning ahead. Communication, talking, and having that strategic vision, because it's going to happen. There's no way around it. So we can't sort of pretend it's not going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. So we prepare as much as we can.